My coworker says I'm a beater to my face, and he hits on my wife online. But the camera footage shocked me even more. Story 1.io for a company insulting me when I applied. Hello people of Reddit. I am hoping you all can call off my steaming head with this specific company I applied at. So for context, I applied with this company Wednesday, and they got back to me on Friday at 5:19 p.m, which in my case is past any work hours and into the weekend where I log off completely, as do many other companies do as well. You can see I promptly responded on Monday at 7 o'clock am and heard nothing. I decided to wait 2 days and reach out again and ask if they are still considering me for the role, to where he proceeded to insult me about being lazy for not showing up to an interview, which mind you they have not once reached out to me via call or text or message. I have a screenshot of my email folder as the last slide as proof. I haven't heard a single thing from them since I applied, so I decided to respond with a yes I know backhanded response, letting them know that no one has contacted me for an interview, and I'm sure you all can see how it escalated from there. So I asked IO for thinking that these guys were completely out of line and unprofessional. They called me names and insulted me, which I know I did back, but I'm a bit of a hothead myself lol. Not trying to justify what I did, but then he also attempted to call my current employer and say who knows what. Thankfully, I work for a place that values my privacy and gave them no mention of my name, which is where he thinks I lied on my application. Is there anything I can do here? I couldn't find them on the BBB or anything as such. One way to ruin my Friday lol. Let me know what you all think. Comment 1 no. They were wild lol. But, for the record, you were far from professional in your responses as well. The conversation went on far too long. Also, for the record, the Better Business Bureau is a scam that holds zero bearing on anything. All businesses have to pay for their rating and reviews. Comment to Better Business Bureau saved my butt. Definitely not a scam. I rented a U-Haul for 8 hours and a 1-hour drive when I got a new job after college. When I got the bill, they tried telling me I drove it from northern Michigan to Athens, Georgia. I called them and explained how it was impossible for me to drive it to Georgia in that time. They promised I wouldn't be charged and they would fix it. That weekend, they charged me the amount for a trip to Georgia and sent my checking account deep into the red. Weeks, multiple supervisors, managers, anyone I could talk to, they would barely reply. Each new person couldn't see anything in their system that I had ever reported a problem. Submitted the info to the BBB and the next morning, I had my money back plus a discount on the original rental amount. Comment 3. They saved my butt too. I had belts for internet and my service stopped working one day. They sent out a technician who blamed it on the construction in the area. I kept calling every week to see when it would be fixed. This went on for months. I literally didn't have internet all summer, May, August, and I was paying monthly because I was told to and didn't want anything going to collections. I contacted the BBB and had my internet again within a couple of days. I was livid, but they were a ton of help. Comment follow L reminds me like 25 years ago I bought my house and signed up for internet and TV service. I did this over the phone, yeah, back in the day. And I guess the rep misheard the street name and put in a completely different one. Nobody shows for installation. I call and we realize the error and they fix it. And I get the tech and it gets installed. All is good. Until 6 months later I get a collection notice. I look at it and the bill was sent to that wrong address and had been returned to sender. They were trying to charge me for 6 months of service at that wrong address. The lady said, "Are you going to pay today or should I show up to your house tomorrow?" I asked her where she'd show up and she said she'd go to the wrong address. I laughed and said, "Yeah, come on over tomorrow." Anyway, it took a few months to get that straightened out. The bad part is either someone was getting free service at that address or they just lied and were charging for no service. Keep in mind I was getting a bill and paying it for my correct address all this time. Comment 5 yeah. I used it when FedEx was losing my packages every time they delivered. After talking to FedEx multiple times with no resolution, I went to the BBB and was contacted by FedEx corporate that afternoon. They finally figured out that their internal addressing service was sending my packages to the wrong city. Comment 6 funny enough, the BBB does have some weight over companies. In 2016, I bought an audio mixer. It didn't work. I wanted to get it fixed. The company gave me the runaround, and I decided to leave a BBB complaint. The company hit me up with like $600 of free stuff. It seems some companies really care about keeping the BBB rating. The free stuff was definitely a bribe for me to take down the review. So I mean some people must care. Comment 7 No, I agree 100%. My professionalism went out the window after 2 to 3 messages. So I am not saying I'm also in the right. But holy cow, I've never seen a company ever talk to anyone like this. Well, that sucks. I had a completely different understanding of the BBB lol. But thanks for letting me know. Comment 8 after his second message. I feel like the messaging could go on for as long as you like. You aren't going to work for them at this point. Could've called him a poopy bullfrog and who'd give a crap except him. Go on as long as you'd like. Live that dream. Comment 9 except that hiring guy will certainly let any connections he may have in the industry know to avoid hiring that guy. Such things spread very easily. Burning bridges is a very foolish thing to do. Comment 10 companies love to throw their weight of connections in the industry around when in fact nobody knows them. When some random dude calls me about I'm X from Y company. Don't hire Z, he's a jerk. I'm blocking both X and Y company. Same. With the I called your work, they don't know you. Of course, some random dude calls me. Does XY work for you? I'm not giving you any personal information about my employees. They want you to think that they have so much. Comment 11 Yep. Everyone thinks the BBB has some weight. It's like Yelp, as others said, but even better. They have a whole service of paying them a chunk of money and they stab the company as being top tier with the BBB. It's a load of crap. Comment 12 Honestly, the nomenclature of the Better Business Bureau in the US Chamber of Commerce should be illegal. They 100% implicitly portray themselves as government departments with their names. Heck, both are headquartered in the DC area. The US Chamber of Commerce's old logo straight up looks like a government seal. Blew my mind to find out that not only are neither of them associated with the government, they're just lobbyists or consumer groups that protect business interests. Pretty sure the BBB is basically a franchise. So you could open your own branch. Comment 13 I was 18 when I registered my business with the BBB. This was a while ago. They had this whole pomp and circumstance about my application being voted on by their board of directors, being accepted, oh congratulations, and then paying them for the honor. What did I get for it? A promise they would refer people to my business never happened, a wall mount plaque, and some stickers on the bright side. When I was done with them, they didn't even attempt to keep me. They just let me off the hook and away I went. Comment 14. I really don't like the fact that they insulted and disrespected you, and then they want to also make other employers not take your offer. Trying to sabotage someone's future career because they were mean and unprofessional first is such an off-putting behavior. It happened at my last job too. I was an inexperienced student, and I quit the job because of a situation, and the manager just called me to tell me, nobody is ever going to hire you again. I'm going to do something and your career is ruined, like brew. Just because you don't like someone for something as simple as not wanting to work for them doesn't mean you need to sabotage their life. It is so bizarre what people do. Comment 15 So many jobs on Indeed are mass posted and send tons of copy and paste messages. I get being frustrated by this exchange, but honestly after the first response calling you lazy, you were wasting your time giving it any energy. Comment 16 Dude's getting obliterated on Google reviews for his bad behavior. I'd say Up's time was not wasted. I also found a review from a couple weeks ago on their page from a former employee who said he didn't get his last paycheck. Seems like this isn't a good dude, so I don't feel bad for him at all. Comment 17 Holy crap, you weren't kidding. Completely wrecked. Unfortunately, he can probably contact Google to tell them these were fake reviews and have them removed, since it's wildly unlikely they upset 300 customers in a few hours, and Google will see that. He absolutely deserves to have his ship sunk for treating people like garbage. 48 years doesn't mean anything when you're just an arrogant, senile jerk to people who were being perfectly civil before you started hurling insults. Op could even still have a job he's working while looking for something else, so he can't get back to you immediately, as he's respecting his current employer by not job hunting on the clock. Comment 18 Unethical life hack. If you leave a 1-star review with absolutely no text, which Google probably shouldn't allow IMO, it probably won't get removed, even in the context of obvious review bombing. Google Business Support is not as based and doesn't have the cultural awareness to understand what's going on in these situations. Comment 19 Okay, you were right initially, but seriously, how important is being right here? You didn't say anything wrong, but you realize if you'd just ignored their rude initial response, you could have saved yourself a lot of trouble, right? Also, with how many of these emails they send. By the time you send enough for the same person to remember you, they're just gonna be rude again. You won't change their mind about their behavior over just some emails. Again, I don't disagree with anything you said, but wouldn't it have been better to just roll your eyes and move on to something else? So, I'll say not wrong, but kinda overreacting. But good luck. This one's a little rough. Comment 20. I'm not going to lie, you are both being foolish. Both you and the employer. First, if I'm job hunting and I got a reply on a weekend like a Sunday, I'm replying back right away because I want the job. I'm not spending 5 days or over 24 hours to respond. Timeliness is going to play a heavy factor for these employers. The last thing I need myself is someone I cannot rely on to be on time for anything regarding work, even if it's just setting up an interview. Attentiveness is very important in any working environment. For the employer, he is out of line as well because he never set up an interview. But that's the least of his wrongs. He should have never entertained your immature comments and the way you spoke to him like a child, calling him names. When he started responding back and going back and forth with you, he's basically just like you in a more professional sounding manner. I can't imagine working with either of you at any job. Both of you need self-control and op. I really wanted to be on your side here after reading the beginning, but as things progressed, I had to change my position. Comment 21. This place has some integrity issues and then some. Here's a sample Yelp review. 0 stars. One of the worst service experiences I've ever had. They tried to deny things that we were told over the phone and then tried to deny the things that were in writing, written by them. They continually backed up each other, but didn't want to hear the truth. I feel that bringing my vehicle in for service was a scam from the moment it was dropped off. The service manager argued and made rude comments when we asked questions about work performed. When trying to bring the situation to the owner Jim's attention, he yelled in front of others, asking why he was being interrupted with that and that. He was busy. He made no attempt to listen. He only made unprofessional comments back. I recommend a customer service skills seminar for the owner and employees of this business. I will never return or recommend anyone. Comment 22 or 6-year automotive dealership management employee. Contact the dealer principal and general manager of the store will almost certainly be listed on their website. Show them this correspondence. They need to know the type of employee they have working for them. Reputation is everything in that industry. Also, they cannot legally contact your current employer without your consent. This is legit grounds for a lawsuit, and this dumb guy just admitted it in writing. Last thing, don't be worried about him posting it to Indeed. Literally not at all how Indeed works law. Worst thing he can do is attach it to your application that only his company will see. There's no universal employee profile where recruiters from multiple companies can badmouth you lol. Comment 23. They want you to think that they have so many connections, but in reality, most of the time, nobody actually knows who these people are. They pretend like they can blacklist you from an entire industry when really it's just a scare tactic. No actual weight behind it. Unless they're in a super niche field where everyone actually does know everyone. Comment 20 for man. The way they acted is such an overreach. If a potential employee didn't respond until Monday morning, that's perfectly reasonable. Friday night communication is just poor planning if you expect a reply before the weekend ends. They clearly were never serious about hiring someone, and were just looking for an excuse to feel superior. Comment 25. Agreed, and trying to contact your current employer is a huge red flag. It speaks to character, ethics, and total lack of professionalism. Even companies that don't like you don't usually stoop to that level. Comment 26. I gotta be honest, I've seen a lot of people mentioning things about fake posts lately. I didn't think that many I've seen in the past were fake, but this one doesn't feel real for some reason. I can't put my finger on it. Feels too on the nose. Sorry if you are real, but this feels like I'm being mined for a reaction to train some algorithm or some university that's soon to be publishing a paper about reactions on Reddit. Comment 27. A post on one of these subs being someone's first post stopped being evidence it was fake years ago. It's absolutely the done thing at this point, and for good reason. These posts are often reposted to other social media sites and can get literally millions of people seeing them. Mostly this doesn't happen, but it's hard to predict when it will. Having people trawling through your post and comment history because of a post like this going viral is not a nice thought, even if it's the most innocuous stuff ever. This goes triple if it's a post like this that, if real, could be very easily linked back to the real person if it's seen by someone who knows about the situation. Comment 28 go to our. He's creating a hostile work environment. How do the ladies handle his nonsense and posturing? As soon as he sent your wife the unsolicited DM, he crossed a major line that he can't brush off. And it's no longer he said. You have proof, and a very upset wife. The more he pesters your wife, the more likely he signs his termination slip. She should ignore him, but save his messages as evidence. In the end, after HR is done, she might tell him your biceps aren't the muscle she's most interested in. Your heart is, but he's not going to catch that reference, and perhaps add that, unlike some, you don't need to compensate for being underwhelming. Comment 29 if this happened with a coworker of my husband, he would be furious as well. Beyond furious, enraged. But like you, he wouldn't resort to violence, though he'd probably love to. Weak men like Gary thrive on aggression and other immature behavior. They're so insecure that they have to do the alpha male stuff to feel anything good about themselves. My husband would have seen that message and immediately been filing a report with HR though. He'd be on the phone going scorched earth on that guy. You don't mess with a man's family. Gary is sick. This person contacted your wife. More like tried to solicit your wife. He literally stalked her on social media to send her something so egregiously inappropriate that this story actually made me gag a little. It doesn't matter your gender secure people take down jerks who come after our families. If someone I worked with did that to my husband, I'd do everything in my legal power to make sure they were held accountable. You need to go to our. Yesterday. To heck with escalating, he's gone far beyond that. Will it make him stop? Maybe, maybe not. Will it show your loved ones you're going to protect them from toxic energy like Gary? You bet. That's the true measure of a real man. Forget Gary. Go to our. Go scorched earth. It's way past time. Comment 30 Gary can eat garbage. Now that that's out of my system, this is workplace harassment and cyber stalking. Both are serious concerns, depending on where you live and who you work for. Tell Gary politely but firmly that he has crossed a line, and this will be the last communication between the two of you that isn't through a third party. Do not ever engage with Gary again on anything. Do not take his bait anymore. It will only hurt you from this point. If you absolutely must, do it via official company email. If you have to work with him in something official, politely decline. Contact HR immediately. CC your immediate supervisor and anyone else you can think of that will have your back. Let them know Gary is acting inappropriately and it is affecting the efficiency of the workplace. Let them know you will not be interacting with Gary under any circumstances and that Gary is not to engage with you. Let them know you are not interested in mediation and that an apology will not resolve the issue. Let them know Gary is cyber stalking your wife. Let them know you know your rights as a worker to not be harassed. Even if nothing comes of it, it is documented. When Gary inevitably escalates things, you will have established the issue and have grounds for legal action. The Garys of the world have been getting away with this type of behavior for too long, because people are too polite to hold them accountable or awkwardly laugh it off as a joke. Gary needs to learn that even if he is bigger and stronger than other people, he doesn't get to intimidate or threaten them. Be strong. Let Gary dig his own grave. Good luck. Comment 31 hours should have been involved in this long ago. I hope your wife saved a screenshot of the DM, because HR really needs to know how out of control this person has become. Your wife should report this to the social media platform he used and block him, but make sure to save multiple copies of the message itself. The language you need to use with HR is that your wife perceives this as a personal threat, and she is scared of this person. The fact that he specifically searched for her on social media and DM'd her is actually quite frightening and definitely has stalker overtones. Additionally, his continuous personal taunts directed toward you at work are completely unprofessional. You feel harassed, and you feel he is constantly attempting to bait you. Ask them if you need to get OSHA involved to report workplace harassment. Ask them if they think you need to report him to the police for stalking your wife. Violence should not be part of this equation. It will only end up with him pressing assault charges against you, and you will get in trouble. Go to HR tomorrow about this. It's serious and unacceptable. Don't hesitate. Get this done now. Story 2. My coworker harasses me about my masculinity and DM'd my wife. I'm currently dealing with a work situation that I 28 am need advice on. Before work, I go to the gym about every other day. I am hardly shredded, but I've gone in after you can see my muscles when I come into work in short sleeves. I wouldn't describe myself as a gym bro or a gym rat. I really just go for my overall health. Anyways, I work in an office with maybe 25 to 30 people. We mainly do business-to-business sales and supply not really relevant to the story. One day, I came into work wearing a polo and a couple of girls and guys in the office were asking me if I had been working out recently. I told them that I had. It wasn't flirtatious or anything like that. I think they were just giving me a friendly compliment. Plus, I'm married. But as we were discussing me working out, my coworker Gary 40SM walks in. Gary is a lot. He's one of those guys who constantly talks about how much he benches, his gains, and generally just tries to project this super intense alpha male image, which is annoying, but none of my business really. This is where the problem starts. Someone asked me what my max bench was. I told them honestly, and Gary, who was lurking nearby, scoffed loudly. He then proceeded to tell me, in front of like 5 other coworkers, that my number 170 was pathetic, and that I clearly wasn't a real man or an alpha. He then went on a rant about how men need to be strong and dominate, etc., etc. It was super uncomfortable. I tried to just laugh it off and change the subject, but it didn't work. Since then, it's gotten worse. Every single day, Gary makes some kind of comment. If I'm getting coffee, he'll ask if I'm strong enough to lift the pot. If I'm walking to my desk, he'll flex and ask if I'm inspired yet to hit the weights like a real man. I've tried ignoring him, giving him short answers, even politely telling him to knock it off. Nothing works. He just laughs and says I need to grow a thicker skin. Then, this is where I start to lose my cool a little. My wife 27F texted me a screenshot yesterday. It was a DM from Gary. It was a picture of him flexing in the mirror with some ridiculous caption about being a true alpha and how real women know what's up. Summarizing, but you get the sentiment. He'd somehow found her on social media and sent her this unsolicited picture and message. I was beyond furious. I wanted to march over to his desk and hurt him badly, but I knew that would only make things worse. I'm starting to dread coming to work. It's constant, it's demeaning, it's making me feel genuinely small and uncomfortable. And now he's involving my wife. Am I overreacting to this? Is this just typical guy banter that I'm not getting? Should I just suck it up and ignore him? Or is this actually something worth addressing with HR? I feel like if I tell HR, it might just add fuel to the fire. But if I come down to his level and respond violently, I'll lose my job. Update. I'm going to take this to HR tomorrow. Thank you guys for letting me know the severity of this. Comment 1. That's a reasonable fear. But once you report it to HR, explain everything to them as you did here. You can continue to report any retaliation or additional incidents. He is harassing you and creating a hostile work environment. HR's job is to protect the company from being sued by you by intervening in your coworkers' behavior. Just keep documenting everything, because if HR doesn't effectively do its job, you will have a case for a lawsuit. Obviously, the hope is that it won't come to that. Good luck. Comment 2. Yeah. Any man who calls himself an alpha and passes time at work by belittling others is just covering for his own insecurities. If he's messaging your wife, then I'm guessing his own love life is lackluster. And if the gym is the only thing he has going for him, then the attention of the office. Women probably rubbed him the wrong way in total, so he's trying to assert his dominance by trying to make you feel small. Don't let him get under your skin, but you get HR involved. This is harassment, and no one needs that kind of work stress. Comment 3. It sounds to me like he is jealous that your coworkers noticed your results, and while they're apparently less impressive than his, he isn't being paid compliments because he's a righteous jerk. From where I'm sitting, Op has already won. He's living rent-free in his coworker's head. I would document every little thing. You already have photographic evidence of him harassing your wife. This is a slam dunk for Op. Comment 4. I'm more of a believer that the entire alpha thing is completely fabricated, and we're not freaking pack animals. I don't let a flock, nor do I rule a pride. I don't have a harem of heifers that follow me from field to field. I am a human being living amongst other human beings. If you want to be the alpha, I think you should try being alone. Also, these people are usually looking for power and authority, desperately trying to establish their position. And like others who seek power and authority, they are the least qualified to hold it. Comment 5. Well, speaking as a biologist, Even if we could apply that model to human beings, which we can't in that our societies are to primate societies, what Notre Dame is to a stack of party cups. Alpha doesn't mean what they think it means, and primate alphas don't behave in the ways they behave. Comment 6 commenting on AI. My coworker harasses me about my masculinity and DM'd my wife. I agree with this. Also, Gary is pathetic. What sort of person does this stuff? He's got about the maturity of a third grader with the body of a grown-up. That's dangerous, so it's something to stay clear of generally, but it's nothing to respect. Take this to our. Write out a series of incidents with dates and, if appropriate, witnesses. Let them know that you are worried about potential aggression or retaliation. If you are someone like this seems very unstable. Comment 7. Ignore his games. You're an adult. Go to HR and show them the screenshot and explain how uncomfortable it made your wife feel and all the comments that he's been making. Make it clear that you don't want to escalate, but that surely this was unacceptable behavior. Then listen to them. Don't talk to Gary differently. Just be normal. Let him be the one that gets angry because he's the one with an issue, not you, if it's feasible. You should start putting your resume out just in case HR doesn't take it seriously, because that is a possibility. Good luck, man. Be the bigger man since you're at work. There's a place and time to be petty, and that's when it can't get you fired. Once you're gone, you can start telling everyone that he was mad at you because you found him taking steroids and estrogen pills, which explains the strange behavior. As commentate, yeah, some people are just jerks and it really sucks. Just protect yourself by keeping your cool, reacting to and interacting with him as little as possible, and documenting and reporting everything. He wants to get you to flip, so don't do it. You could even try reporting to police as a stalking and harassment concern. The fact that he searched up your wife and contacted her is legitimately upsetting. Basically anything to get him to understand that his behavior is unacceptable. Comment 9. What he's doing is classic bully manipulation. By operating in a space where you feel constrained to not make waves, he will escalate knowing this. He will then call you weak, whether you get HR to do your fighting for you, as it were, or whether you sit and take it. Damned if you do. Damned if you don't, so you may as well get ahead of the story with them and get the power of the corporation working for you. Comment 10. You know, I think I disagree. Here's my thinking. Op now has people. He'll have our. And Op clearly has people who talk with him collegially. Gary has nobody. And Gary stands alone in his nonsense, unprofessionalism, and inappropriate behavior toward another man's wife, while Op is an honest man standing for other honest men and clean living. You go, Op. Comment 11. Make sure your wife screenshots everything. Don't block him, just mute. This way, if he keeps harassing her or tries something in person, she'll have the evidence to go for a restraining order. Comment 12. Never interrupt your enemy when he is making a mistake. Napoleon Bonaparte. Gary has gone too far. The alpha personality has him not thinking about consequences. I'm middle-aged and have met many like this. A common thing with them is it's an act. Hold my beer is a meme for a reason. Pickup culture and following ridiculous trends from influencers are common also with this. Document everything. Even if small, it counts. You are the real man here. You used your brain instead of attacking him. You have a wife, a job, work well with others. I hope it gets resolved. I got mad myself at him involving your wife. This macho man needs a reality check. Then he can cry to a Hallmark movie over a pint of vanilla fudge swirl. Comment 13. He feels like this all the time. He's deeply insecure. And when he heard you're comfortable with how much you bench, it made him feel like all the work he puts into becoming what he thinks is a real man is pointless and silly. He's attacking you because he sees you're comfortable with yourself. And nothing drives him more insane than the fact that someone he thinks is beneath him can be happy with where they are in life. He needs to make you unhappy to validate his own misery. He's a child. Comment 14. Crossed a line so far over the line, he wouldn't be able to see it in the rearview mirror. Op. Go to HR and show them the screenshot your wife sent you. Tell them they can deal with it, or your lawyer can deal with it, but either way, it's getting dealt with. And if they wish to bury their heads in the sand, then you'll include them in the lawsuit. In a roundabout way. Op. This clown is telling your wife he'd be with her in ways you can't because you're not man enough. Comment 15. That's what these so-called alphas do. They will constantly put you down, and at some point, you subconsciously start to doubt yourself. Just because he can bench more doesn't mean he is strong. He is a pathetic person with a weak character and morals. Make your wife take screenshots of his messages and block him Reach out to HR. If this guy has any significant other, send those screenshots to them. Comment 16. You have been very patient. Unfortunately, you're dealing with a guy who views patience as weakness. You should have involved HR a long time ago. But he has crossed a line and is now harassing your family. Go to HR first thing in the morning. When you make the complaint, make sure you forward the text he sent your wife. You want the email trail, and since they know there's an electronic trail, they will address the problem with that in mind. Remember to use all the buzzwords: team harmony, productivity, hostile environment, etc. You should also see if your wife can file for a restraining order against him communicating with her. Of course, she'll need to tell him to stop contacting her first, and please, if he does get fired, tell him, "I'm sorry you felt that you had to behave that way because you have such a small anatomy," hopefully in front of other employees. Comment 17. Also keep all texts to your wife and let her tell him to stop messaging her. After that, it becomes telecommunications harassment, and you can involve the police if need be depending on your location. Not sure if she needs to block him as well, since I've never dealt with anything like this myself phone-wise though. Comment 18. This comment is it. OP. Also, I really feel for you. This is pretty close to my situation with my manager. The dude thinks I'm not manly enough, or that I let my wife run things and I should take over. Thing is, my wife makes almost twice what I make, and I'm comfortable with that. If my skills transferred easily, I'd be out. Don't know if that's your situation or not, but definitely document everything. Things in writing and pictures are gold, extra gold, if it's during the workday or at the workplace. Otherwise, eventually, it's just hearsay. Comment 19. You definitely need to go to our. He's basically harassing your wife, and he's bullying you, causing a toxic workplace and insulting you over what you do in your personal time. It's also likely stemming from jealousy, because I'm guessing none of the coworkers who were complimenting you and your achievements have ever complimented him. I'm guessing he's single and feels he's more worthy of a woman's attention than you, and can't understand why you're married, and he's not. Explain to HR that colleagues were complimenting you and noticed you'd been working out when Gary interrupted your conversation, questioned what you lift, and has since been putting you down with constant passive-aggressive comments. Then let them know he has taken it to the next level by messaging your wife with a photo of himself flexing at the gym, making derogatory comments about you not being a real man, etc. This is blatant workplace harassment and completely unacceptable. Make sure to write down everything Gary says or does to you or around you aimed at you, and if he messages your wife again, be sure to get a screenshot straight away. Tell your wife to screenshot immediately in case he tries to delete it, etc. Write down date and time of all comments, including any witnesses. Comment 20. Then document anything he does further and file more complaints with our. If he continues to reach out to your wife, encourage her to report him for harassment with the police. You can't just let this go. He's a bully and thinks you are too weak to stand up to him. He will continue his behavior if you don't shut it down early. Comment 21. She tells him that she has no interest and not to contact her again. When he does, and he almost certainly will, she goes to the police to file a formal harassment complaint. Harassment needs a pattern of behavior, but in most jurisdictions 2 events will be enough. Once your wife has a harassment complaint against him, you take that back to our. Your coworker is now actively harassing your wife in a personal, inappropriate way, all as a method of bullying you at work. This guy's terrible behavior has to be known around work, but it's probably not been a problem the company has had to act on until someone makes it formal. In the meantime, every time he takes a jab at you, do your best to ignore it and document it. If you can't stop yourself from responding, do not get physical. Limit yourself to referring to his insecurities. Nobody who tries that hard is actually emotionally secure. Comment 22. I get the fear that it will make it worse, but everything you documented is already a very strong case. If you could get some written statements from any colleagues who have witnessed this, it would be even stronger. At some point, HR should ban him from speaking with you, at least non-work related. Put the target on him for being the issue. If it gets worse, it's retaliation for a known problem. Your job either steps up big time, or now you really have a lawsuit. Which I get isn't ideal, but your job should be the one scared of this, not you. Comment 23. The worst part about the alpha male concept is it's not based in objective reality. There's no such thing as an alpha male. The entire basis for it was ended up being entirely incorrect. because wolves are the opposite of independent. They need the rest of the pack to survive. Humans are the same. We are tribal by nature, and we were never meant to survive by survival of the fittest, but by being the most collaborative. Comment 24. Just make fun of him. Guys like that have fragile egos just make up stats and say, for example, that dudes who work out on average have smaller anatomy. Say whatever to get under his skin, and eventually he'll leave you alone or lash out, and then you can just get the authorities involved. Don't back down. Don't shy away. Every weird comment he makes should be met with a clever insult. Show him you've worked out your brain muscle more than he has. Comment 25. This guy is a deeply wounded narcissistic weirdo. Take this with a huge grain of salt. But he can't stand you because of pure envy. If you need to stay in the job and don't want to leave, then strictly in the short term, maybe subtly downplay your style, gym habits, and become subconsciously less threatening. Be as boring as possible. Relish in the fact that he's rattled by you, but it's clear you've got a target on your back. Quietly submit, but not because of fear. Feign admiration. Stroke his ego. Ask him for advice, but not in a desperate way. Maybe play the beta archetype you're clearly not. I think you project quiet confidence that bothers him. Don't howl, or beg him to stop, or even give short answers. That just fuels him, as he'll get satisfaction from successfully getting under your skin. This could potentially backfire on so many fronts, so play it carefully. But it might buy you time with HR. Figure out how to get rid of him, or exit this place. Comment 26. I gotta be honest, I've seen a lot of people mentioning fake posts lately. I didn't think that many I've seen were fake. But this one doesn't feel real for some reason. I can't put my finger on it. Feels too on the nose. Sorry if you are real. But this feels like I'm being mined for a reaction to train some algorithm or university study. Comment 27. A post on one of these subs being someone's first post stopped being evidence it was fake years ago. It's absolutely the done thing. Now, and for good reason. These posts are often reposted to social media and can get millions of views, though it doesn't happen every time. People don't want their post and comment history picked apart if something goes viral, even if it's harmless. That goes triple if the story could be tied back to the person in real life. Comment 28. Go to our. He's creating a hostile work environment. How do the ladies deal with his nonsense and posturing? As soon as he sent your wife the unsolicited DM, he crossed a major line that he can't ignore. And it's no longer he said. He said, you have proof and a very upset wife. The more he pesters your wife, the more likely he signs his own termination slip. She should ignore him, but save the evidence. In the end, once HR is done, maybe she'll get the last word. Your biceps aren't the muscle I care about. She means your heart, though he probably won't get it. And unlike some, you don't need to overcompensate for being underwhelming. Comment 29. If this happened with a coworker of my husband, he would be furious too. But like you, he wouldn't resort to violence even if he wanted to. Weak men like Gary thrive on aggression and other shallow behavior. They're insecure and rely on the alpha male act to feel any self-worth. My husband would have reported him to HR immediately. He would have gone full scorched earth. You don't mess with someone's family. Gary is disturbed. He literally found your wife online and sent her an inappropriate message. That's stalking. It doesn't matter your gender, anyone should take down someone harassing their loved ones. I do everything in my legal power to hold someone like that accountable. Go to our. You're overdue. Even if it doesn't stop him, you'll show your loved ones you'll protect them. That's what makes someone a real man. Forget Gary. Go scorched earth. Comment 30. Gary can go deal with himself, now that that's out of my system. This is workplace harassment and cyberstalking. Both are serious, depending where you live. Let Gary know he crossed a line, and this is the last time you'll speak without HR present. Don't engage him again. If absolutely necessary, communicate through official email. If he must be part of a project, stay polite and distant. Contact HR immediately. CC your boss and anyone else useful. Tell them Gary is acting inappropriately and harming team productivity. Say you will not interact with him and that you want HR to intervene, not a simple apology. See he's cyberstalking your wife. Let them know you know your rights, even if nothing comes of it immediately. It's on record. If Gary escalates, you'll have documentation to take legal action. Guys like Gary thrive on people being too polite to hold them accountable. Let him dig his own grave. Be strong. Comment 31 hours should have been involved in this long ago. I hope your wife saved a screenshot. HR really needs to see how out of control this has gotten. She should report him to the social media platform and block him, but save backups of the message. Use specific language with HR. Your wife perceives this as a threat and is scared. He found her online and messaged her. That's alarming. His taunts at work are unprofessional and you feel harassed. Ask HR if you need usher or law enforcement involved. Violence won't help you. He'll just spin it into you being the aggressor. Go to HR now. It's beyond serious.